Uh, okay. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Looks like it's going to storm. I cheated. I looked at the weather. I know it's going to storm. And so I'm going to storm on you some information that you just probably can't handle. If you're not one of my regular viewers, but if you are, then you probably can't. So there's something that I've been noticing about people for a long time. I'll give you some examples. I'd be giving somebody a massage, right? And you can kind of tell how tense they are by looking at their face and their posture and this and that, listening to their voice, listening to what comes out of their mouths and stuff. And I get massaging them, right? And especially their arms, they tense up on me. And I shake them a little bit. That's what you do when you're a massage therapist. You shake them a little bit and say, relax. And then they'd relax. And then 5 seconds later, they'd tense up again. And so once again, you say, relax, relax, please. And there would be people sometimes that I would have to just keep saying relax over and over again. And sometimes it would get to be just like, I'd be like, ah, fuck it. Fuck it. They're not going to relax. They just are tense, and in their minds, they're tense. Okay, so the more a person's body is tense, the more in their minds they have problems. Okay. And you feel that, you see that, you everything about that you can tell by working with somebody, giving them a massage. But just seeing someone on the street or wherever, you can tell the same things. Okay? So, and it's within you too, all of us, to one degree or another. And the more you work on your health, the more you relax your body and your mind. And so let me drink some water and then we'll talk about that subject some more. Relax, don't do it when you want to get to it. So many songs. And that's another thing. Like the more you've got, and I know this from my own self, because people aren't going to admit to having repetitious mental things, not very much, but the more you've got little songs in your head and they just don't go away. That probably, it could be for some different reasons. Like I believe that aliens can put things in your head that they want you to learn. But aliens, God, Jesus, whatever. But yeah, if you just can't shut your mind off, well, there you go. Now your body, it has ways to protect itself. And the muscles tensing up is part of that, because the more toxic material that you have in your body, the more your body can only deal with the release of that toxic material so much, so quickly. And so your body has an amazing way of pacing its cleansing, its healing. And so your mind sends signals, and there's this little gland in your brain that's part of that called your pituitary gland. And it's part of that tensing and releasing stuff. Some people, they'll want to release their muscles because they can't stand the pain that they're in, the inflammation that they're in because of that tension. and they'll get carpal tunnel and various other, all kinds of problems. And I've experienced a lot of that from all the cleansing that I've done. But I imagine to myself, what if I went to a doctor and got some drug that forced my muscles to release? What would happen if that were the case? Some synthetic drug. It might be a very bad scenario, my friends. Okay, so this is why I do natural healing. And it's also why I said F it to some people that just wouldn't, release their muscle tension, because you don't want to push people too hard. It's good to push people, but not too hard. And when they're, what's the word? Squirming. That's a good word. When you're giving somebody a massage and they're squirming too much, and or as in before the massage, you tell them, you tell me if I'm pushing you too hard. And hopefully they listen to that, and they do. And you don't want to get people too sore. Sore is good, but too sore is not. Most people want to get their money's worth, and they'll tell you to go deeper constantly. But in any case, the thing is that it's not just those cases that are the reality. There are so many different imbalances in a person's life, like, for instance, work. I know this from myself, and I know this from seeing other people now. I've worked really, really hard to get to a place where I've simplified my life so much that I don't have, and I've improved my business and many things to create balance financially, so that I don't have to work so hard. But I think to myself, when I see people that have a lot more money than I do, think about all the famous people out there that we know they have millions or billions of dollars, right? They have billions of dollars, but still you can see that they're working themselves to death. Why? Why are they working themselves to death? Same reason as the muscles, same reason as the little songs in a person's head that they can't stop. They're stuck. They're stuck in a loop of too much activity. Okay. So there are some people that are born entrepreneurs. I was one of them. And I know some people that are also born. I personally know some people that are born entrepreneurs, right? Because I know what their genetics are. And I'm not going to say that because some people will call me a bad name. So, but in any case, there are people out there that are born business people, and they cannot stop working. They don't need to work. They don't need to keep working. It would be beneficial for them in many different ways if they would slow down and stop working, right? But they were born genetically to work, and they're eating a lot of foods that have too much fuel, right? So think about it. If you're eating too much carbs and you're eating sugar, white sugar, those foods create energy, right? And most people eat way too much of those foods. And so they have to just keep going. And what do? They have to burn off the excess energy, so they exercise like crazy. They're going like hell around the house. They're going like hell at the gym. They're pumping iron, pumping all of this iron to burn all of those excess carbs. Why don't they just eat a lot more vegetables and not have the excess carbs and excess fat and excess energy? Because they're stuck. They're stuck in a loop. And they have these mindsets where they think that what they need to do is, and I know this because I've been there. I was one of these people that went to aerobics, right? And it's kind of, it's fun, but it is an ego trip to be the baddest ass aerobics person and stand at the front of the group. You see them. If you don't see them on Facebook, go on YouTube and look up these dancer size classes, and you'll see the cutest, hottest girl standing in the front, and she's got the most energy. She's got the best ass. I love to look at them. Most people like to, most guys anyways, likes to check it out. But it's an ego trip, and they're burning themselves out. I'm telling you that when humans get to a place of where they're living to be 150, 200, 250 years old, they won't live burnout lives like this, where they're constantly going, and they're trying to keep up with the people across the street. Nobody in advanced societies will be in that mindset of where, at least not near as much as they are today, of where you have to keep up with the Joneses mindset. Well, we've got this and we've got that. So there are all these people that, and you see doctors, you see their faces, and you listen to their voices, and you hear what's going on in their minds, and you can tell that they're very intelligent, and they knew that they were very intelligent, right? Because when they were going to elementary school or whatever, their parents are really intelligent. All the signs from all of that screamed, hey, this is a highly intelligent person, and they should go on to be a medical doctor, right? And so that's what they do. And that's kind of how the cycle goes. When you've got somebody that's physically excellent or mentally excellent, they end up somehow giving it back to the world. And they pay the price by giving their gift. They give their gift back to those that don't have gifts. Those people that abuse their lives, their bodies, their everything. And so you got all these obese people that a pandemic comes along and they get so sick. And then you got all these people that decided to get into a lucrative profession at the hospital, right? All the professions, all the jobs at the hospital are lucrative. They all pay a lot of money, right? And that's because when you go there, you have to drain your bank account to pay for what you did to your health by stopping at Pizza Hut and McDonald's, etc., or the bakery and at the grocery store on the way home. Your food choices and your lifestyle choices were all effed up, and so now you have to give all your money to these doctors. Their lifestyle and their job choices, they're also effed up because now they get to work for somebody that was doing the same thing. They're all integrating together, right? So what I suggest, if you don't want to be a part of all of that, is that you do everything that you do, right? This is what I'm doing. Everything that you do is not connected to the insanity, any kind of insane occupation. If you got it insane, if there's an insane occupation and somebody says to you, hey, Brett, you know, you're just broke all the time. You're 18 years old, right? And you're broke all the time. You're 20 years old. You're 25 now. You're 30 years old now. And your parents, they say to you, like mine did, you should go back to college and get an education doing this toxic job, right? Think about what the job entails and where you'll be and what kind of an environment you'll be in. Think about the environment that you'll be in and what you'll be doing for 8 hours or whatever a day. How much does that pay? And ask yourself, is that good for me? Okay. And if it seems toxic, like a medical doctor job or a nurse job, etc., would be, then what you need to do, in my opinion, is look for something else. Okay. Because if you don't want to get dragged into something, same with a spouse. Okay. So you're really horny, right? You're really horny. And you're thinking to yourself, it's a Friday evening, it's about 6 o'clock, and you're thinking to yourself, should I go down to the pizza beer bar and see if I can find a cute girl? Don't do it, okay? Why? Why should you not do that? First of all, look at the food that people are eating. Look at the drink that people are drinking. Look at the people that are there. What do they look like? What are they talking about? Blah, blah, dee, dee, die. Okay? This is not the atmosphere, nor just like the hospital, just exactly like the hospital, okay? This is the wrong place to go to for health. If you can't figure out some other place or some other occupation or some other friends or some other whatever, F it. Be with God. Find something to do, a book or someone online to talk to. Any damn thing. But don't just keep going in a never-ending circle of crap by joining into society. Okay? You have a choice. We all have a choice. What you do, it's not a matter of black and white. Because I've gone down to the beer and pizza place. I've never bought any food there. But I have gone down there and danced because I like to dance because I'm an awesome dancer. And I look healthy. And but you know, the people, they look at me. And sometimes women will be tempted a little bit to flirt with me. But everybody knows the deal. That I'm not like them. They're not like me. And so that's it. That's it. And so you have to be true to yourself and find people that are like you. And when I'm ready, that's what I'll do. And until that time, I'll just sit here and talk to this camera. But yeah, there are no absolutes. You have to find shades of gray. So no matter what you are having a problem with the most, what you do is you find an adequate substitute. You find a little way that you can do something not quite as extreme as you were doing before. You find people that you can hang out with that are not quite as extreme as you were before. Even if you're a drinker, right? You're a drinker and you're going out to a grungy bar. Like I used to go to this place in San Diego. How long ago was that? It was 1987, 88, called the Pink Panther on Marina Boulevard. And it was a punk bar, right? Punk was getting popular at the time. And that was when it started exploding. Punk rock and punk people, goths. There were people always before that. I mean, if you look back at, David Bowie in the early 70s, that was long before that. But it was still, punk was in its early prime. This was before goth. And I was going to this kind of a grungy bar, and I was always good at pool because my dad was an alcoholic and he liked to play pool, and that's what people at the bars do. So I could go there and play pool and win most of the games that I'd play, and drink beer, and but I never really fit in with them either. I mean, do you think that I ever bought into wearing all black clothes and getting tattoos and having piercings and all of that blah-de-da? There was this girl there that I thought it was really weird at the time, and it still would look fairly weird to most people, but she had this spider. She put a big plastic spider in her hair. I mean, imagine seeing that. Like, she was a bartender and she had this big plastic hair spider. I'm like, wow, that's pretty fucking cool. You've got a tarantula on your head. But what you do is, like, if you're in that position, you could just start going to a more gentle bar. You don't have to just completely quit going to the bars. You could go to the beach and drink beer with a couple of nice people. So you can gradually heal. You can just keep gradually healing yourself. You don't have to just go from going to the Pink Panther to becoming a monk overnight. Hey, I got a comment. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, not probably right. Aladdin treasure, thanks. So how do you like the lighting? I know it's too much on that side and not enough on that side, but it's not bad. I mean, it's the natural amber light. And you know what? I want to tell you, since I bought these bulbs, I really love them. And I hardly ever use the other. You want to see the difference? I'll show you the difference on one side. I'm not going to do it on that side, but I'll show you the difference. There. I'm the regular bulbs here, and I'm amber light here. That is so weird. That's kind of like, it reminds me of that Star Trek episode where the guy was black on one side and white on the other. Do you guys remember that? The writers of Star Trek were amazing. I mean, if you think about that, like, that sounds like a simple concept, and I've got to turn that off before it drives me nuts. but when that was written, it was a very toxic time in our world, and civil rights, and then following that, women's rights were huge. And I'm not sure. I'm sure I did. I've mentioned this many times, but I was born with my moon right in between the astrological aspect that created that whole effing hippie movement. I was born in 65. That is right at the beginning of when they started to get long hair and wear colorful hippie clothes. But before that, it was the beboppy 50s, and everyone was happy-go-lucky. And you can watch Leave It to Beaver. You could watch Leave It to Beaver and various programs. They were getting into aliens because the space race was on. And I know the yellow light is really better, and I highly recommend amber light bulbs. But so this astrological thing between Uranus and Pluto happens only once every 110 to 140 years, when these outer planets that take forever to orbit the sun, they align. Think about it. If Pluto only takes, if it takes 240 or something years to go once around the sun, it's not going to orbit the sun one time during anybody's lifetime. In fact, it's not going to orbit the sun during two people's lifetimes. If they live to be 100, it would take 2.5 lifetimes to go once all the way around the sun. So when I was born, Pluto and Uranus were conjunct. That means they're together in alignment away from the Earth in the sign of Virgo in 1965. And they went back and forth in conjunct 3 times. But they were very, very close together. And depending on the time of day that you were born, I was born at 8 a.m. on July 3rd of 65. And at that time, where I was born, the place on the earth that I was born, my moon, which is one of the 3 most important aspects, the sun, moon, and rising sign, my moon was in between them. In between them. Do you know how heavy that is? It's really heavy. It's crazy to be different. That's just one of the things on my birth chart that makes me very different than I mean, if you were to go out and look around this county of 28,000 people, I believe, there would be many things that I do that nobody else does. Nobody. I mean, how many people wash now? It's getting worse too. This is getting worse all the time, because now I'm washing all my laundry by hand. I washed this huge ass towel. I bought this towel on Amazon, organic bath towel, right? A large one. I'll show you. The freaking things are huge. I can't stand to use it as a bath towel because, I mean, you can't, there's no way you can get this thing. If you put that like that, it won't go in your ear. It's too thick. You can't get that deep into your ear because it's too thick. It weighs about 4 or 5 freaking pounds, right? It's ridiculous. It's kind of like so many things that are exploded. I didn't realize that. I should have sent it back. But there's so many things that I have whittled down. That's a perfect way to describe it, right? I just keep whittling and whittling and whittling down all of these different things. It's kind of a cool butt knife, ain't it? But I just keep whittling down my life, refining it, getting it more and more simple. And sometimes I wonder, like, wow, where will I be? What will I be doing? Where will I be? One of my biggest goals is to get rid of rent. You'll see. You'll see. I'll get rid of that just like I've gotten rid of a lot of different things. Wheat and dairy, processed foods, those were really hard. That one is a lifestyle thing. Bear in mind, I am in a place of where I can have inexpensive rent. I believe that that is from a lot of different things, but I believe I'm blessed. I'm blessed from that. Creation has helped me with that, to have that. And it is possible to get inexpensive rent still. And that is another thing that I want to talk about tonight. Because I've been saying to myself, I wonder when the rent's going to start to come down. Okay, so right now, I usually, for many years now, my Millet pillows have been popular. And they just kept getting more and more popular. And I usually, this time of the year, would have at least 5 or 6 orders to fill all the time. They just keep coming in. The orders would just keep coming in. But for several months now, I've noticed that business has gotten slower and slower. Ever since the Iran war started, I've noticed it just keeps dropping off, getting worse and worse. And many people have told me their business is also doing that, getting worse. Now, I'm not going to say that it's not going to come back. But I will say that the reality, here's the reality. The reality is that when things just keep getting bigger and more bloated and expanded, etc., something is going to alter that. Something is going to change that to make everything start shrinking. And in our case, because it's so multidimensional, there are going to be a lot of different things that are going to make humanity come to reality. But the problem is that the overpopulation is so bloated. There's just it's so bad that it's not going to be without significant pain. Okay. And so happily, there are plenty of ambulances to haul people away to the morgue. You know, I mean, I know it's not funny, but really, it's, you do have to laugh, and it's the reality of the way it is, because people just keep taking those antibiotics, and people just keep getting more sick, but the thing is that everyone is going to learn of what real healing is. They're going to at least hear about it, and they're going to at least have a chance to start getting into it. And the informations are available to the mortal man because we have the internet now. We're really lucky. You know, when I started, there was just books, but I was lucky to have books. I could go to the health food store, and there was all kinds of people. There still are plenty of people to help you there and online as well. And so, and I do holistic consultations. If anyone wants a holistic consultation right now, I'm not busy at all. I'm totally not busy. You can just go to brettsnaturalhealth.com and go to holistic consultations, pay whatever it is for it. You know, I believe I got it as a sliding scale from anywhere from $50 to $1 million. I think that's what I set it up as, $50 to $1 million. And there are people out there that have $1 million that could easily just drop that. You might be one of them. There's 16 people watching this right now, I just noticed. And so certainly one of those people might be a billionaire. And if you're a billionaire, you can afford look, see that? holistic consultations, and it's got a picture of me on the phone. Oh, and $35 to $1 million. So some of you may scoff at that. Some of you may scoff at that because you're like, well, who would pay $1 million? Is it worth it? No, it's not worth it. Like, Brett, you're not very healthy. I am getting pretty healthy. And yeah, I've been through hell, but that's why I'm very knowledgeable and very getting pretty healthy. And I'm going to get really, really healthy because I just keep whittling down, once again, whittling down the stick and accepting the truth. Now, this evening, I'll put the link. Hey, Dustin Anderson. Okay, so if you want a holistic consultation and you've got at least $35 for an hour, like, think about that, okay? Most natural health people, holistic, naturopathic doctors, right? If you go to a naturopathic doctor, they'll probably charge you at least $250 for your first consultation, but probably more like $500, $800, $1,000. It's absolutely ridiculous, the world that we live in today. This is another example of how bloated and insane it is. And, that naturopathic doctor had to go to school, and they had to pay a bloated and insane amount of money to get that diploma hanging on their wall. And they have a state license and all of this blah-de-da connected to, and that's why they have to charge that much money. So do I look like someone that has paid a lot into school? Have I talked about how I went to school and paid $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 for an education on how to do all these tests and that? I'm not. So you can do a consultation with me for a whole hour for as little as $35. Now, if you're somebody that makes $100,000 a year, and I find out that you only paid me $35, well, I would just basically tell you right to your face that you suck. Because you would. So you have to be honest about what you pay me. And basically, that's how it is. So, let's see. What was I just going to say? Okay, so today I went to my secret field. And this might be one of the things that I might recommend that no other natural health, well, maybe a few, practitioner might recommend that you do. But I wanted to get out of my neighborhood and go to my special secluded field. And I pulled over and I started walking around. I did one lap around the field, and I did a video with this where I can't remember the title of it, but I walked around the field, and it's a really nice field, and it's all mine, a whole field, right? An old football field. Good. And so then I was like, I would feel better with just laying on the grass. And so I laid on the grass. And when you lay on the grass and you look up, what do you see? Clouds and blue sky today. So I just laid there and I'm like, yeah, this is what I need. Looking at clouds. So I laid there for at least a half hour, probably 45 minutes, and looked at clouds. And I just thought, like, I should do a video. I should do a video about this where I just look at clouds, right? I could do a time lapse and speed it up by 2, 4, 6, whatever. And people could just enjoy in fast motion Because see, people wouldn't watch a video, a slow motion, regular time video of clouds. That would be boring. But if you watched a time lapse of clouds, that might be somewhat interesting, right? But if you do it on your own and you actually experience it in real time and you feel the grass and you listen to the birds, and you don't have to get high, you don't have to smoke any weed, you don't have to do any drink any beers, you don't have to do any of that. You're freaking me out, man. So if I'm telling you all of these natural things to do, right? I'm telling you like that you could just go and look at clouds, and that's freaking you out. That's a bad sign that you probably shouldn't do that. You know, if I tell you that you should calm your mind, that you should relax your muscles, that you should do less work, don't work so much. See, a lot of people have gotten themselves into situations of where they are stuck in many different ways. It's not just that their muscles are stuck, as many people's muscles are. Most people are tight and they cannot release their muscles. And the older they get, the more tension, chronic tension that they get. And the more those tendons are feeling the strain. And pretty soon you get tendonitis and other problems, all kinds of problems related to muscular extra tension. And then the more your muscles get tight, the more your brain starts to trip out. And you go on the news and you'll see people that eventually crack. They crack. But what I'm telling you is that you can gradually undo your circumstances. So maybe one of the reasons that you're not able to go to the park and just lay in the grass and watch clouds is because you have it in the back of your head that you have to just keep going and make more money. And so I'm not going to talk about this person that I saw earlier, but I wish that she would slow down and stop doing that. I think she could. I mean, I don't think that she has to keep making money. I don't think a lot of people have to keep making money. You could just focus on the breath. You could just start getting rid of some of the expenses. So you may have to file bankruptcy. Some people may actually have to file bankruptcy. It's okay. You've got that option. You're so lucky. You're an American. You can file Chapter 11, Chapter whatever, bankruptcy, and get rid of your debt and start over. And after you do, like I did, like 30 years ago, something like that. I filed bankruptcy once, and I got rid of a bunch of debt. And after I did that, since that time, I've only borrowed money one time. And I'm glad that I did. I borrowed like 4,000, 5,000 to go to school, to go to massage school. That's it. No more car loans, no more credit card borrowing, no more. I never bought any mortgage. I never bought a house in my life. I always felt like, no, I don't know where I want to move to because I'm always wanting to move somewhere else. So there's no way that I want to buy a house, right? But basically, you worm your way out of it. So all these things, and you can tell, it doesn't matter if it's a muscle that's causing you grief, pain, if it's a wife or husband that are causing you grief, pain, if it's bills that are causing you grief, pain, if it's too much work, whatever it is that's causing you grief, pain, do whatever you have to get rid of it, them, whatever it is. Work your way out of it, and then pretty soon you'll be like, ah. Thank God. Thank God that bastard isn't coming home. That bitch isn't coming home to me. I'm renting a room. I got out of that situation, right? In the middle of the night, I packed whatever stuff that I needed into a car, or I walked out on the road and I stuck my thumb out and I hitchhiked for 3 days. here's an extreme one, right? Somebody that they just had to get out of that situation before they got killed or something. They got away by hitchhiking to a small town, and they assumed a new name. and they found a room, or they found a bed at a hobo house, and they woke up the next day and they said to themselves, oh my God, or it's the summertime, you don't even need to, you can sleep in the park, right? In any town in America, and it's warm outside, it's 80 degrees, it's 70 degrees, whatever it is outside, and you can just sleep in the park. You're homeless, but oh my God, you can lay in the grass and look at clouds. A homeless person. That thing that I did today that was so enjoyable, watching the clouds, laying in the grass, right? One of the things that homeless people can do is that they can just sit around and they don't have to worry about all of those potential troubles that so many people have gotten themselves into, like a marriage that sucks, or debt that sucks. Or, I mean, I know someone, her property is too big. She's constantly having to mow that lawn. She's constantly having to trim trees and all these different things that that cost a lot of money. Some of it she could do herself, but other things cost her thousands of dollars, right? And I think that if a person really doesn't want to be burdened by something, they can work their way out of it. It doesn't matter whether it's tense muscles or a bad diet or whatever. You can work your way out of the extreme over consumption, the extreme over insanity, all of these different things that our society has created, and not just ours, but other people around the world. They think that the more is better. More of this is better. A bigger this is better. A bigger schlong is better. Like, a bigger everything is being better. It's not. I hate to tell those of you that still think that. If you still think that the faster or the bigger is better, you're so totally, totally wrong. And it's going to come back to you. Yep, it's going to. Anyways, I think that that's good enough for me. And speaking of which, it would be nice for me to just lay on the floor here and enjoy the rest of the evening. I've been going now for... Isn't there a timer on this thing? There used to be. So if you're just joining me, you could go back and watch this over again. It's kind of a reiteration of things I've talked about before, but really, it's good to hear these things. It's good to get a varying discussion, and my mind is working pretty good tonight, so it won't bore you probably. Let's see. Before I end this, I'll try and think of something else that's going on. I am sticking with the hand washing of laundry. Oh, My left arm tension and pain that's been bothering me, especially at night after having slept 4, 6, 8 hours, and I wake up and the tension and pain is really hard, and I start to get numb fingers. Those three mostly. That was less this morning, and I think that that's gradually diminishing. And see, remember, if you're living, eating, etc., and all naturally like I'm doing, and your body is getting inflammation, it's getting tension, it's your mind is doing this, it's doing that, and you're doing your best, it's not something that's unusual. It's not something that's abnormal. It's not something, almost certainly, most of the time, to be concerned about. Okay? It is your body doing its thing. It's your mind doing their thing. And they go in cycles. Okay? So the migraines that I occasionally now have, at one time they were a lot more frequent and more extreme. At those, never, never did I ever think of going to a medical doctor for that problem. Never. I always felt as though it was not a migraine, but a healing crisis where I was getting out crap out of my body. And that's exactly what I still think. I have never thought that all that diarrhea and vomiting and etc., a headache, all of that was not natural, or the only reason that I thought that it, only part of it that was not natural, was that I knew that I'd been exposed to a lot of fumes from a lot of automobiles, and that I'd been exposed to living a life where the demands to work were always there. I knew that I was part of that problem. Thank you, Tamara. I knew that I was part of exactly what I've been telling you about tonight. I was one of those people, and still am to a degree, and will be till the day I die, because I'm just like all of the rest of you, and you're just like me. We're all going through this exact same ordeal of healing. The problem with all of that is that some people are trying to convince you that the medical industry is real health care. They've actually they call it what they have to offer health care. Okay. And when they started doing that, and I can remember back, because I'm 60, almost 61 now, I can remember back when all kinds of things came into fruition, if you will. It came into a fad. Bell bottoms, weed eaters. I remember when the weed eater came around in the 70s. Okay, all kinds of things. And I remember approximately, I can't remember exactly when the medical industry started calling themselves health care. And I was already into natural health. And I said to myself, no, what are you talking about? Oh, I get it. You're trying to fool everyone into thinking that what you have to offer is real health care. But let me go out on a little bit farther on that limb and say that eventually, guess what? They're going to come to reality, and the public is going to come to reality, because just like what happened to my neighbor the other day, I was talking to her. I was teaching her right here on the floor how to do self-massage, right? I have this new neighbor, and she's originally from Honduras, okay? And she has tight, sore muscles all over, and she's like 81 years old. And and she said, well, I've got an appointment with the doctor, but it's not for like 6 weeks or something. Imagine having some sort of a problem, right? And you can't get into the doctor for 6 weeks. And so you're digging and you're calling and you're prodding and you're trying to find someone to help you because you can't get into a doctor and all you have is Medicare or something of that nature. And guess what? Those people are going to find, hopefully, they find what real health care is. They find some real health care. And she did right there, right there, right there on the floor. She found what I gave to her, which was a lesson in self massage. And I let her use some of my tools. I didn't give her any massage. I'm not giving anybody any massage for any amount of money. I already did that for 10 years. I've worked on thousands of people, thousands. I've done plenty of work giving people massage, selling massage. And I'm never going to work for the North Carolina Massage Board ever again. Not because they took my license away from me, but more so because I don't want to work for those bastards ever again, or any other government agency ever. And so, anyways, so now she knows, and you know, that the way to get rid of pain, if you have it right there, is to go like this. That is how to get rid of pain. Once again, thank you, Tamara, for that donation. I really appreciate you. And anybody that wants to do a holistic consultation with me, there's the link. I put it right there in the chat box. And you can pay anywhere from $35 to $1 million. If you give me $1 million, I guarantee you that I will not go out and buy an expensive car. I'll probably buy, I don't buy any car. My old 93 Corolla is just fine. It still runs down the road. That's what a car is for. If you didn't know, cars are for going from point A to point B. That is it. That is the only thing that cars are for. And the way that cars should be manufactured is so that they're dirt cheap to repair and they don't break down at all, ever. And when they do break down, occasionally, all the parts are universal. All the parts are universal and they all work properly. Okay, so I know that sounds like impossible, but what I propose is that the world lives logically and the world lives naturally. And so we don't even drive hardly at all. Just stay home. When Christmas comes, don't go anywhere. That's what I've been doing for years and years and years. And now you have the internet. And if you want to talk to somebody in Great Britain, like I sometimes do with my friend Philip, or my friend, what's his name? My brain. Names I have problems with sometimes. But anywhere in the world, you can talk to them, not just in the United States. You can instantly go on Facebook, FaceTime, or on other platforms like Google Meet or the other one, and talk with anybody that you want to, and you don't have to go anywhere. And it's so much easier because if you do go somewhere, guess what? When you get back, it'll take you days to recover from the flying, the jet lag, being in a different part of the world, having to deal with your relatives and what they're eating and what you don't want to eat, and what their lifestyles and what you don't do anymore that would aggravate them. So if you're doing something, if you're not doing something, or you are doing something that doesn't coincide with what they're not doing or doing, then they're going to get aggravated. Okay, you know this. Whenever you go home and you hang out with your family, you've changed, but they haven't, or vice versa. Probably, if you're watching me, you've probably changed because you're a progressive person, you're an intelligent person, and you want to do things more logically instead of being a bloated American idiot. and so you want to do things more logically, and you want to be healthy. And if you do get in the car and you decide to go back to wherever and see your family, you'll burn a lot of gas that's really expensive, and gas that's polluting someone else's lungs. And while you're driving, somebody else is polluting your lungs because you have to breathe. And when you're driving on the freeway, you're going to be breathing other people's fumes. So the less you drive, the better. So get yourself a stay-at-home job like mine, and just minimize all your expenses, and don't live in an expensive place. Like San Francisco is a perfect example, or New York. That's the last place you want to live anyway. You can't even park your car on the street there, or somebody will break the windows and take whatever isn't sitting on the seat in your car. It's a fact. You don't want to live in a place where it's like that, and the rent is horrendous. You probably can't even rent a room in San Francisco for less than $2,500, right? Imagine that, $2,500 for a freaking room. I was just looking on Craigslist to see how much room rentals and or apartments are around here, and that's something else that I wanted to talk about. Like, I was saying to myself, okay, this is perfect that the economy is not doing good right now, and it needs to get worse. It needs to force people that are paying for their own houses and whatever. It needs Trump needs to force more migrants back to wherever they came from, so that more rentals will become available. All kinds of things need to happen so that more rentals, more people need to die, all kinds of things need to happen so that more rentals become available. When more rentals become available, the price will come down. That is how it is. I'm not giving you any sugarcoating about anything. Nothing. When I tell you, don't have babies. If you're a young person and you want to have happiness and financial freedom, I have a new neighbor. She has a little boy. I told you about him. He comes over here to my window. He's cute. He's sweet. I love him already. But you know what? I don't want a kid. And I guarantee you that a lot of the time, she doesn't want him either, because they are a burden. I'm not saying that she doesn't want him. I'm just telling you that if you have a kid, it's a lot more of, like, here's what I would do. If I had a kid, I would get that kid busy helping me around here, cleaning things. I got out my wet dry vac the other day. Lord have mercy. I got out my wet dry. The Lord doesn't have to have mercy. The Lord has mercy all the time. If you teach a kid how to do things, they will feel like they are valuable. You don't just buy them a bunch of toys to play with. A kid needs to have a sense of accomplishment. You pay them, like my parents would give me a quarter to do something, and I was like, yeah, I love doing things. The problem was that my parents also started a savings account for me. This is how effed up my parents were, right? I worked and I worked doing dishes and vacuuming and all. I learned how to do all kinds of things, trimming the grass, by hand. Back then we had these little hand trimmer things, right? And hello, Brett. It's only 62 minutes late. Hey, Joe. So my dad taught me how to trim the edges of the grass because we didn't have weed eaters. We didn't have weed eaters back then. We had these little things that were like great big scissors, right? And I'm 8 years old and I'm trimming around the edge. And it would take forever to trim the edge of the grass because the lawnmower can't do the edge. But it was a job, and my dad would give me a quarter or 50 cents or something, to trim the edge of the grass. And then I'd saved up some money. So I'd saved $5 or $10 or something. And my parents thought that it would be a good idea for me to start a savings account. And I'm like, well, why can't I just save it at home? And so I think that they're like, well, we want to teach you this lesson, right? And so you can start a savings account. And then when you're an adult, then you'll start saving in your savings account, and that will be good for you. And so I get $25 in this account saved up, right? And they got strapped for money and took the money out and used it. The money that I had worked for. This is how up my parents were. My dad was spending money at the bars. He would go out and do this or that and spend money at the bars. And so, yeah, they came to me and they're like, well, Brett, we needed the money. We needed the money. So we took the money out of your savings account and used it to buy groceries or something, So if you get going with raising kids right, and you don't just give them toys to play with all the time, but you give them some work and you make them feel useful. It doesn't matter if it's an adult or a kid, whatever. You have to be responsible. Be responsible about that. Or if it's a society, the society we live in is irresponsible with kids too. Look at the stupid amount of work, of time that kids have to go to school. I think that the reason largely that kids have to go to school for so many hours, a ridiculous amount of time, not just to the 12th grade, but they practically force people to go to college nowadays. I think it's a money game. I think that the country wants people to be highly educated so that the country can compete more and make more money against the other countries. It's exactly the same with everything. We need to be able to compete. We want our kids to be the smartest in every aspect of life. So you have to take these tests, right? You have to take these tests periodically to show that you're really, really smart, because the smarter our country is, the more our country can compete and make more money against the other countries. You know what? All of that competition, whether it be financially or sports or whatever it is, it's all a bunch of bull. That's what it is, because it goes against health. Remember, health is the number one thing. As soon as the government, as soon as whoever, your parents or whoever, start telling you something that you should do that creates stress in your life, getting buried financially by going to school, getting buried by getting strained by marrying somebody. The society tells you that it used to a lot more, that you should get married, or your parents expect you to have kids so that they have grandchildren, or your own mind is telling you that if you don't have kids, then you're not contributing to having a legacy, or whatever it is in your mind that says like your spirit won't go on in this world if you don't make babies, right? If you don't make babies by the time you're 30 or 40 or whatever, then you're not fulfilling God's blah 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 blah. I'm telling you that almost everything is a bunch of total made up crap. It's a bunch of crap. The deal is be healthy and be happy. Relax. Be a lazy effing hippie, okay? I'm telling you that lightly because you can't just be a lazy hippie. You have to make some money. You have to do something of value in this world. Okay, there's a balance. The current balance is way to the right, expanded, bloated, insane. People need to be a lot more like a lazy, worthless hippie. Okay. You love me, Daniel, because I'm telling you the truth. These things are the truth. A lot of people, imagine if you're somebody that you did buy into what your parents told you, and you went and you became a blah-de-da. You went to college and you spent a lot of money, and now you hate your job, or you got married to somebody because you really needed to get laid or whatever, and so now this women, you guys out there, you should know that women, they want love and romance, and they want security. Okay. And that security means for a lot of them that they need to find someone that has a good income. Does this sound intelligent to you? That you should marry somebody that's looking for someone that has a good income, which means that you needed to have gone to college and got a job, an occupation with a thing on the wall hanging there that gives you a lucrative job? Does it sound like that is a good reason to get married and or get that job and thing on the wall? It's not. It's a bunch of stress and insanity. Look at what they're doing. They put makeup all over their faces to try and get that reality so that they can stay home, or that they can make babies. They want to be able to make babies. They think that that's the thing that they want to do. Most of them are obese and they don't need to. It's the exact opposite of what they really need to be focusing on. They shouldn't be focusing on making a family, making babies, raising humans on the same junk food that they've been eating. If they make babies, what are they going to feed them? The same junk food that they've been eating. And it goes on and on and on. The circle just keeps going around and around and around. Well, when will it end? When they get cancer. It'll end when they get all kinds of diseases and they get hauled off, or they try and get a doctor's appointment and they can't get one because they're booked, because the whole effing society has bought into these lifestyles and insanities. They can't just lay on the grass and look at clouds anymore. They can't. If they did, they could only do it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe, in their front yard. but the world is the way it's supposed to be. I can look at this with humor. I can accept the way we are because it's just the way it is. Not everybody can accept all of these themes. If you're still watching me, look, there's only 10 people. Quite a few people have come and gone. I've told you a lot of really valuable things. And I keep telling you over and over tonight, all of these valuable, amazing things that people maybe should know. Those that should not know them, they left. They can't stay and listen to any of this anymore, any more of these truths, because they're guilty. They're the people that did all of those things, which is 99.5% of the population. Probably not that high. Thank God. Thank God not everyone is insane. Some people, depending on who they are, can do all of that and have a relatively decent life. They're going to get bloated, they're going to get sick, but they might still live to be 80 before they have to, before the drugs and all of that, the clogging of their bodies, they might last to 80 years old. Depends on how good their genes are, how wise their choices have been made. But for me, there was no way in hell that I could have gone with the status quo of the average American blah, 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 and survived beyond 50. I'd have probably died earlier than Michael Jackson. Is Michael here? No, Michael's not here. He might be here. Michael, are you here? There's one of my viewers has named himself Michael Jackson. If you haven't heard me do that before, I'll do it for you again. And if you don't know about the amber lights, I love these amber lights. They're so much nicer than the LED blue lights. This gets rid of almost every single bit of the blue light that's damaging for your eyes, supposedly. And most of you have seen what it looks like to look through those sunglasses they're called blue blockers. They came out with those a long time ago. When I was detailing cars in the late 80s, early 90s, they came out with blue blocker sunglasses. That's another thing. When you're as old as me, you remember when all these things came out. You know, a little while ago, I was talking about how the healthcare industry decided to call themselves healthcare. That was probably in the 90s, late 90s, something like that, early 2000s. And in any case, the blue blocker sunglasses, I put those on and I was like, man, these are great. And I would detail cars with the blue blockers on. But these, they don't emit any blue light. And so after you've used them for just a little while, in the beginning, you realize that you can't see details as good. And I think it takes your eyes some time for them to get used to the idea of seeing like this, because, you know, it's not as bright. And it's the blue light that gives you the ability to see fine detail. But at night, it's perfect because it tones everything down. And you can still, you know, the sun still puts out the blue light during the day. And I don't wear the blue blocker sunglasses during the day because there's probably benefits. There is benefits. So anything that's natural, as in sunlight during the day, that is good for your eyes. It has to be. And I don't know anything about any of that. All I can tell you is that I always go with the natural. And so I don't try and alter the natural, whether it be food or light, anymore. I wasn't a natural health person back then, and so I didn't know. But at night, when the sun has gone down, you shouldn't continually be exposed to that light. I think what I wanted to do was just try it. I wanted to just try the amber light bulbs to see if I liked them or not at night. And I do. So I'm going with it. And I hope that you like it. It's like if you look in from the outside into this, I made a little video, I think. I made something where I took the camera and I looked in at night. It looks like peaceful. It looks like I've got a fire going on in here because it's the same color as a fire. Like if you've got a wood fire or a wood burning stove, a fireplace, etc. People love the look of seeing the flames glowing, the glowing flames. Guilty as charged for 31 years, then it finally shifted. And I did die medically twice. Shit. Where are you getting the amber lights still? Well, okay, I'll admit it. I bought them on Amazon. Do you want the link? I'll give you the link. Let me look up my orders. BULB. My face is very expressive tonight. That's like that's the gag me with a spoon face. Okay. So Control C, Control V. So there you go. Having a harder time finding them anymore. Nah, they're easy to find. Just go on Amazon. Daniel. Now, what is your consultation email? If you scroll up, Maria, email. No. If you scroll up, I don't give my email out on these. Okay. But if you go to my website, you can go to the contact page and you can fill that out if you want to contact me. I'm sure the bloating will go away soon. So if you want a consultation, they're from $35 to $1 million, depending on how much you can afford. And the link is scroll up. If you scroll up, you can find the link. If you can afford to give me a donation like Tamara did, like if you scroll up, you'll see Tamara, my very good long-term friend for years and years now, has given me $10. Saying thank you so much, Tamara. Joe gives me money. Joe gives me like $5 in pesos. It's funny shit. Huh? Pesos. Like, what would I buy with pesos? No, that's the exchange rate. He gives me $5. It's like $100 in 100 pesos or something. Anyways, so what else do I want to talk about before I end this amazing conversation? I always make somebody laugh. Maria. You want me to sing My Maria? My Maria. How does that go? You know I've come a long, long way. I've already sang that to you before. I've been longing to see her when she's around. She takes my breath away. She makes my bad breath go away. Anyways, yeah, my room. I keep making my room better. I keep making my kitchen better. Today I made my kitchen better by maneuvering my wet dry. You know, my wet masher, my food masher. You guys have seen that, right? The wet food masher. I maneuvered that underneath my paper towels. It fits perfectly under there. And so I'm using that a lot more. And man, the food is so good. And today I made sauerkraut, and I made it right here on the floor. I do a lot of things on the floor. And I need to stretch a little bit. Oh, shit. I've got some tension. I need to massage that calf. I've been longing to see her. When she's around, she takes my blues away. But yeah, I made some kraut today. And making kraut is a chore. It's a job for sure. You have to cut it up. You have to mix in all the vegetables. You have to add the right amount of salt. You have to, for me, I massaged the kraut. And then I pounded the kraut in the kraut pot. I mixed it in the kraut bowl. Have you guys seen my kraut bowl? I'll show you. Oh, and I have to pee real quick, so hang on. Okay, so I've told you I've bragged about how rich I am, right? And I'm telling you, this is one of my coolest things right here. I had somebody make this for me about 10, 12 years ago. So this is a really cool pot bowl. Look at that. Look at that bowl. So this person had a period of her life that was a changing point. I can't remember if she was an alcoholic or something. But anyway, she's a potter. And she always puts U-turn. And you could probably find her pots online. But this pottery store in Brevard, where I lived in that cabin, remember that little cabin on a lake that I lived in? On the way out there, there was this pottery store on the highway, and I would stop in and I asked them to ask her to make me this. And so she made 2 of them, and I chose the one I liked the best, and this is it. And so it's not got any fancy stuff on it, you know. I didn't really want to pay for that, and I didn't really need that. I just needed a nice big pot for massaging kraut. So here's what I do. I sit right here. I take about 1 medium-sized head of kraut, right? This is what I did today. Today I did 3 heads of kraut. And I fill it to about there, about half full, and I work it. Work, work, work. Mix, mix, mix that salt, and mix that salt into the kraut and vegetables and spices and herbs. And I just keep working that in until it gets really wet, nice and wet. And then I put it in the pot, the kraut pot. When I'm not using that for mixing sauerkraut, I put fruit in it. Now the kraut pot, it just sits in there too. It doesn't do anything unless it's doing its fermenting work, and that, I think I've shown you that. I'm sure that I've shown you that before. But when it's got sauerkraut in it, like it does right now, it's buried outside, and it's you can watch. You guys can look up these videos and see how I bury the kraut pot, like the Koreans do. And I just bury it up to its little ledge like that so that it can still breathe, and so that I can go out and get some kraut if I get a hunkering, what's the word? to like in 5 days, after it's fermented for 5 days, if I'm like, man, I really need some kraut now, I can go get it. I can go get it at any point. It will be, at this time of the year, it will be done totally after 12 days probably, because it's warm outside, and so the soil is going to make it ferment relatively quickly. Whereas if it were a cold fall day, I might let it sit in there for up to 3 weeks. But I got that done today, and I really needed to get that done. And I put 2 heads of green, 1 head of purple, fennel. I put some fennel in there, and some dill. I put dill in there. And I think I put some thyme in there, some cayenne. I put a little bit of paprika, a little bit of chipotle. It's not going to be too hot, but it's going to have a little bit of fire. I put half of a red pepper in there. And I think maybe a few other things. But yeah, pretty much just that. And it's going to be really good. There. So, I've really, really been enjoying Rush. How many of you have been watching the clips of the band Rush that's out right now? They just started playing again for the first time since 2015, last weekend in LA. And their drummer had died. I don't know if you know that, but if you're a Rush fan, you do. So Neil Peart died in 2020. And so we didn't think, we were wondering if Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson were going to get together again and ever play again. But they always kind of wanted to. They just needed to get over the loss of their bandmate. And so now they found this woman, this German woman named Annika Niles, that's a really, really good drummer. Because nobody will ever be a substitute for Neil Peart. He was, part of the thing. I believe that he wrote most, if not all, of the lyrics for Rush's music. But part of the thing that makes them so great is just that, the lyrics. So many amazing lyrics. He's just one of them that I quoted. Thanks, Joe. 5 more bucks for you. 86.49 in Mexico money, whatever that is, pesos. So those who know what's best for us must rise and save us from ourselves. So think about that. Those who know what's best for us must rise and save us from ourselves. It's such a great line. And I just love great musical lines. Sometimes a musical line can just be such a life teacher. A life teacher. And when you combine, like, my favorite things, beautiful women. If you combine a beautiful body with a sweet woman, oh my God, I love that. I just love that. Animals, almost all animals. I love animals. Musical lines that are just great musical lines. So even though Jesse Wells is obviously like way beyond too liberal for me, for my taste, sometimes his lines are so great. And that's kind of what happens, when you get, sometimes the extremists in our world are just great because that's what they do. They are as they are. They are who they are. If you haven't watched Jesse Wells, he's a prodigy. You have to love Jesse Wells, even if no matter who you are, if you don't love at least some of the music that Jesse Wells is putting out right now, he's a genius. He's a modern day effing genius. Musical genius. Lyrically. His playing is really great. Sometimes the songs can be the same because he puts out so many songs. How he creates so many songs that are so mind-blowing, lyrically mind-blowing, I don't know. It's kind of like it's beyond Bob Dylan. I mean, Bob Dylan, some of the songs, some of the lyrics, you think to yourself and you wonder, like, my God, that's just great. And the Beatles, you think to yourself, wow, how did they come up with that? How did Paul come up with that? He's another one of those. In 20, 50, 100 years, they will look back at Jesse Wells' music See, the thing with music is that so many of today's artists are just doing covers of the music that was popular when I was growing up, between 65 and 85, maybe 90. Okay, that was the golden era of rock and just all kinds of music, all kinds of music. And those artists were just mind-blowing. But now when you have somebody today that comes out that is equal to those artists, the greats, the Neil Young and Paul McCartney and Elton John, when you have somebody that comes out that is equal to those greats, at least lyrically, or beyond them. Elton John didn't write his own stuff. Bernie Taupin, whatever his last name is, wrote it. And so when somebody comes out, he is amazing. He is going to go. I made a video about him on my other channel about a year ago because I knew it. I knew he was something incredible. And I absolutely 100%, 110% stick with that. I thought at one time about 6 months ago that he was kind of fading away a little bit because some of the stuff that he was doing was not as good as initially. But the more I watch him, and the thing is, he is somehow staying, and I believe that it's not fake. He's staying kind of real like me. Real as in like natural. Because you watch his videos, and a lot of his videos, he's still doing like where he lives in Arkansas, in the country. He'll get in his car and just go out the country and make a video under those same telephone pole wires. and he's still wearing clothes, kind of like Neil Young. Neil Young keeps it real. He's still wearing some flannel shirt, He's still wearing he'll wear a flannel shirt. When you see me, I don't throw away clothes. I love natural clothes. I like inventing with the clothes. And today I took the socks and I cut the tops off of them. Okay, so these socks that I made, that I love, that have hemp on the bottom, I glued hemp onto the bottom with natural rubber. Well, it's the summertime now, and I didn't want them to be long, so I cut the tops of them off just above the natural rubber band that I created. See, that's natural rubber so that it keeps the socks up, because this cotton doesn't have any kind of a stretch band material like nylon. It doesn't have any of that in there. And if you don't make your own natural rubber band out of rubber, so yeah, it stretches. If you don't build that into the sock, then they just fall down. So I took the socks and I cut all of the rest of it off. Because it's summer. It's summer. I don't want all of that. Now I need to make some more shoes, but I need to make them for summer. I need to make them super light. And so I thought I'd make something similar to like Keds. Those Keds canvas sneakers? Thanks, Joe. Thanks, man. So here's the first ones that I made out of a casting, make a casting of your foot, right? And I made these. And they look kind of worn out, especially that one looks kind of worn out in the front, you know? It's because I didn't know how to glue good. I've learned how to glue using the rubber. I learned how to do that good now. So in the future, you're going to see these looking better and better. Like, look how much better these look. See how much better those look? But these are more like winter shoes because they're really insulated and they don't have any airflow. They don't have much airflow to them. So they kind of get too hot to wear when it's hot in the summer, but they'll be great in the winter time. And with these, this is the sole that I learned about how to make rubber stick. I didn't know the trick, but now I do, and I'll show you. So, when I made these, when I put the first sole on these shoes, I didn't know how to make the rubber stick really good. And I'll tell you that tonight. I'll tell you the secret to making the rubber layers stick really good. And so I put the sole on there. I put this sole on there. And then after wearing it for a few days, it started to peel. And I'm like, damn, what did I do wrong? Because I've noticed that sometimes the rubber sticks good and sometimes it doesn't. So I took it and I ripped it off of there. There. And I'm like messing around with it. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, this is what you do with natural materials. Because see, it's a religion. It's a spiritual experience working with natural materials. Because whoever brought all of these things like the rubber tree here to this world, they created all of these things, or these things evolved, however, whatever, probably both, in a way that was meant to be used and utilized in a natural way, and they're wonderful. Wood, rubber, wool, whatever it is, there are ways to be able to work with the natural products, the natural materials that get them to work really, really well. And when you do figure things out, then they're amazing. Okay. So what you do, you have to put multiple layers on, and you have to put them on one at a time. But when you put them on like this, that's 70 coats, right? It's 70 coats of latex, but I didn't know how to put it on to make it stick good. See how it peeled off? How do you get it to stick good? How do you get each layer to stick good? You have to paint. You have to rub it until you feel the rubber. You keep rubbing it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until you can feel the rubber bite. When you can feel the rubber start to bite into the coat underneath, then it's sticking into that coat. If you just rub it in a couple of times, it's no good. And what happens? It starts to peel later. It doesn't bite. And if you've put a lot of coats of rubber like I did with that, you can see how it peeled on the tip. There are certain places on the shoe where it's going to be more prone to peeling, right on the edges. Okay? But I know now I know that whenever I paint, especially the edges, I have to rub it in. I have to work it in more. You have to work it in. The good things, this is perfect with, it coincides with everything. Good things take time and effort. And see, that's why it's so important for me to create an intentional community of natural health people. Because I know that if I want to get more, I'll only be able to go so far with creating a natural lifestyle with just me. Okay? It can't be just me. It has to be other men, other women, children, animals. It's a coordinated effort to be able to get, if you've got $1 million, $1 billion, then it's a lot easier because you can buy things. You can pay people to be your slaves, which is basically what they become. But still, even with that, if Julie, if you're watching right now and you have all of this money, right, you can buy people to come over to your house and do all things for you. That has limitations, and we all know that, because the rich people get weak and soft, not just physically, but mentally too. And when you accomplish things by like making the kraut like I did today, my sore hands and wrists, right? I'm washing the clothes by hand now. I'm making the kraut. My wrists still get sore, but I know that the more I shit all of that toxic crap out of my body, the cleaner my body is getting. And I can see it in my skin. Can you hear it in my voice tonight? The cleaner my brain gets, the better I'll be able to communicate to you. The cleaner my mouth gets, the more my gums will heal and the more my teeth will heal. When all of that is getting cleaner and healthier, it means that my digestive system is also getting healthier. It's absorbing nutrients better. The villi are getting longer in my small intestine. I'm able to consume more and more fermented foods. In fact, I'd like to consume some right now. Today, I harvested a new pot of kombucha. This is cold and out of the fridge. But do you want to see my hotel, my Scobie motel? Would a Scobie hotel be a hotel or a motel? Check this out. Started a new batch of water kefir today, too. Looks like urine, huh? The water kefir only takes a day and a half. That I could probably drink some of that already. But I'm going to drink some of this kombucha, and I'm going to mix it all up so that the mother on the bottom gets mixed in. But see, kombucha is very acidic, depending on how long you've fermented it. The longer, the more acidic it gets. Oh. I wish you could taste this. I think it's a really good sign that my health is getting better and better. You can tell when you're clicking, right? You can tell when things are getting better. The longer that you've been doing your healing, and the more cycle after cycle after cycle that you've been through, the more sunrises and sunsets and whatever, all these different things that you go through, that kombucha is so good. There are no coincidences. You can call it magic. You can call it development. You can call it evolution. You can call it whatever. But the more you get everything in balance, the better everything just keeps getting. I think this is the best kombucha I have ever tasted. It is so perfect. See, the thing with kombucha is the balance. You want to get it so that it's just the right acidity, but still sweet. There's a perfect place right in between those two. And this is so perfect. I dare say that if I wanted it a little bit better, it could be a little bit more acidic. I could have let it go for one more day and it might have been a little better. I can still do that. I can, let it stay out at room temperature. It's perfect right now. It doesn't need the heater, nothing. Use black tea or green tea? I've been using black tea. Hotel. It's a hotel. Yeah, okay. Welcome to the Hotel Kombucha. Such a lovely place. Such a lovely place. Somebody said while I was doing my live the other day that if I started singing, they're leaving. I was like, that's pretty rude. Fuck you. I like to sing, but I can understand sort of like how people don't want to hear me sing, even though I think I have a good voice. I know I have a good voice. But, if there's no music added to it, there aren't very many people that have a voice that's good enough, that's enjoyable enough to just listen to them sing alone. If your spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend is singing, whatever you want to call them, I told you that I'm not accepting any titles, but if they're singing, then you're forced to listen to them sing. You have to listen to them sing, even if you don't really like it, because they're the ones that you're trading with. You're trading something. So that's kind of a good way to explain. I'm going to put this back in the fridge. that's a good way to explain how you want to be, if you can, independent versus with somebody. So I also have kefir. I have kefir water that's not really kefir. Well, it is kefir water, but I cleaned the kefir grains today. So with the way that I make it, which is natural sugars, the kefir grains get really extra strong. After several batches, it kind of gets too strong. And so what you do is you just pour some fresh water into there and strain it off. And then you can just drink that, which is what this is, kefir, strained kefir water. And it all has really great beneficial bacteria in it. And you can just taste it. It's kind of like drinking non-alcoholic brew, you know? Mm. Oh, that's so good. And cold, being hot as hot as it is, and this being cold, it's just a great, great drink. Mm. Yeah. So, what was I talking about? It was me, but I'm joking. Yeah, I remember. So, I was saying how I can understand how just singing. But if you sing along with me and you really like the song, then it would be fun. And I was thinking about doing a kirtan video where we sing a kirtan. We sing kirtan. We either sing it along with music, in which case I might get in trouble with the person that owns the music, or we could just sing our own versions of something. But anyway, so let's see. Am I running out of things to talk about? Well, we could talk about briefly just how Donald Trump and what he's doing, everything he's doing is just going to burn everyone out. I think everyone is getting sick of his ass. Isn't everyone just getting sick of his bullshit, continually spewing bullshit, you know? So, speaking of the opposite of health, totally just the absolute opposite of health. And I would assume that the sicker that he gets in all regards, the more you're going to hear spewing diarrhea coming out of his mouth and probably stinking out his anus. So, yeah, that sums that up. Love making homemaking mode kombucha. Don't trust the GTs. Way too sweet, and I'm not acidic enough. Yeah. And yeah, so I got all three of the fermenting things going on here: kraut, kombucha, and water kefir. Yeah. So, and what else? I've been making. Oh, I made dressing with the wet masher. I made flax dressing with a wet masher instead of the blender yesterday. And it's pretty good because the seeds, you don't even have to use the coffee grinder to mash them first, because the seeds for flax and chia are very, very small. And you can just throw those in the Indian wet grinder and it mashes them, it crushes them completely. See, those blades in high-speed blenders, it's always been my thought, it's always been my theory that those are not good for the food. Because when you're blending something at that high of an RPM and you're trying to crush seeds with a blade, there's something energetically wrong with that. Now, there are health gurus on YouTube that sell juicers and blenders like the Vitamix, for instance, that they're going to tout the benefits of those things, and they're going to poo-poo anything that, like what I'm saying, that high speed is destroying the nutrients. I have not conducted any scientific experiments to prove my point. All I'm telling you is that anything extreme in this world, anything that's really radically extreme, like high-speed blenders or Donald Trump, for instance, is destined for trouble. And it's causing, in regards to food, it's probably not very good. But when I saw those Indian food mashers, they use them for dal and various stuff. And I actually have some dal bean soup in my fridge right now. I made some. But when I saw how those things work, and if you haven't seen them, I'll show you right now. Okay, so this is an Indian. They come from India, I believe. They're used mostly in India. Food masher. And it is a very, very, compared to juicers and most appliances, this thing is about as natural as it gets. It comes as close to a mortar and pestle electrically as you can get, right? Because all it does is it has these two granite wheels. They're just granite wheels, right? Look at that. Is that simple or what? A couple of granite wheels that turn on an axle that sit in the bottom of a bowl that's made out of granite on the bottom. This stainless steel bowl has granite in the bottom. And so the machine, and I'll plug it in for you and show you how it works. Let's see. Okay. So you can see when I push the button, the thing rotates. Okay. When you take the pot and you put it on the axle, then it makes the whole bowl rotate. It's the bowl that rotates. When you take the rollers and you put the rollers on there, this part does not rotate, but the rollers sit on the plate on the bottom and they rotate. You have to put the screw on there that holds it down. So you put the screw in there, and I'm not going to run this for long because it's not good to run it dry. But you put all the food, you just throw the food in there. That's all there is to it. And if the pieces are small enough, they get mashed by the rollers they get crushed by the rollers in between and run in between these grooves in these granite rollers. The bottom of this is granite and those are granite. So it's just like a mortar and pestle. It's an electric mortar and pestle. Oh, and it has a lid. So you put the lid on there. And it naturally mashes the food with granite. Is that cool or what? Especially cool when you don't have a lot of teeth. Oh, that thing. Is that right? Okay. Sorry. Anyway, so I'm gonna have to put all these things away later, huh? But yeah, those, when I bought that, they were $250. I think they're probably more like $350 now. It's insane. It's insane how much stuff has gone up. But like I said, business for me is slow. I'm seeing that things are changing, and hopefully it will come back to decency and reality, and a lot of different things need to change. And I'm just sitting here watching the wheels go round and round. I really love to watch them roll. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I'm gonna sit here and drink my kombucha. That is the best kombucha. It's magic. I must be getting healthier. Things keep getting better around here. My intuition, it's still right on the money about things, people, and yeah. Thanks for joining me, everybody.